this week, coming in at 14 by 12 and weighing way too much. Another marching snare. Alright, I'm not gonna lie. This was not gonna be on the list this week, but here we are. So this is an 80s Pearl marching snare drum. Like I said earlier, it's 14 by 12, it's solid maple, and this is what you would see on the drum corps stage in like 1985. I honestly don't know what to say for this thing, because in my mind it's a really easy, simplistic drum, but I guess I could talk about why I have it. So in all honesty, this is the worst purchase I've ever made drum-wise. I paid like $250 for this at Columbus Percussion, which kind of, after talking with some people, is a little steep, but I kind of don't care, because if you didn't know, my biggest drum influencer and instructor marched 85 and 86 Cavaliers on these. So which is pretty cool to be able to play a drum that they played. And second thing, my high school, we actually had more of these, because in the 80s they, well, marched these because it was the drum at the time. We used these for solo and ensemble, and so in 8th grade I actually did a solo. It was like Drum Corps on the Parade by Pratt, which actually I think I threw in an excerpt, if I know how to talk. I threw in a piece from that solo that I could still somehow play. It is what it is. But I've wanted one of these snare drums for years. Like, through the entirety of high school, I really wanted one of these drums because, like I mentioned, it has mylar heads, which is just something you don't see very often anymore. It's just a sound that you don't get. And I'm going to be real, when listening to the playback of the audio, I actually undertuned it a little bit. I could have cranked it higher, but I'm going to give myself some grace because after shredding a few heads myself, I don't want to break another head right now. Alright, so since I'm running out of things to say, I should probably just show you some of the quirks of the drum. Like I mentioned earlier, it does have clear heads on it. We have a Remo P77 and an Ambassador on the bottom. But if you notice, just the first thing off the bat is you notice this ring inside. And that's because in the 80s, they would actually tune these things up so high that they would end up caving the shell in. So it was just a way to try to keep the drum in round. The other interesting thing is actually where this drum came from. I don't know anybody that's been to like Bern, Union, local schools from Union Grove, Ohio, but I guess that's where this thing came from. So it must have gotten beat up at some point. Something interesting, though, is that this drum actually came with a harness on it. I guess not really on it, with it. It came with a harness, and I honestly never use it because it doesn't really fit me, but interesting thing that came with it. Whoa. Yeah, I'm honestly struggling to come up with things to say, which is really weird thinking that this is one of my dream bucket list drums. In all honesty, I'm tempted to get another one because the original ones in the 80s had more of die-cast tubes, and this one has triple-flange on it. I don't really care all that much, but it'd just be interesting to see how they compare. So I guess that kind of wraps it up because I still can't come up with anything to say about this drum, even though it's one of my absolute favorites. And I'm actually really happy to have it. Though I do need to tweak it a little bit. The tuning was kind of funky for this, but I think part of it's just this room. There's no sound muffling or anything on it, so it just rings like crazy. But so yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I guess I'll catch you in the next one. Oh, also, we're going back to regular drum set snares next week. Ah!